So so we're not limiting it only to just technology companies, but companies that are leveraging the internet to find customers and to sell to them as well and to reach out to those customers. Majority of our investments are B2C, so consumer companies. That's just sort of the DNA that we come from and where we feel we can offer a ton of value. But at the earliest stages, at our accelerator stage, we're not running an accelerator anymore, but we do have a pre-seed investment program where we'll invest in you, we'll invest about 50 lakhs and then work with you very closely for about 3 to 6 months. Over there, we're investing in a lot more B2B and deep tech companies as well. So the way that we like to see it is that, in fact, this is where the designer lens comes out. We have a very user-driven or user-focused approach towards investing, saying that India is divided into a lot of different user segments. It's not just one homogeneous user. And we are looking for opportunities that serve all of those sort of potential use cases. But at the same time, we're also interested in investing in the underlying technology that will build the new platforms that people will create products on. So it's fairly broad.
Thank you. Yes,
good morning. My question is to Ankur sir. Sir, whom do you see as competitors of Nearbuy? One, and secondly, how do you use design in terms of differentiating with respect to competitors? So that's how.
Honestly, it'll be a little cocky for me to say that we don't have any direct competition to the extent that we recognize. I'll give you a philosophical answer of how we think about this. Our competition is virtually every merchant that believes that they should not come online. Because there are plenty of them, and they generally believe that offline will remain the dominant way of consumption, which is true, but only from a consumption perspective. I think what they fail to recognize is that most of the discovery of what is around you has moved online, and you ought to have an online presence not just from a content perspective, but also a transaction perspective. So personally, the biggest challenge for us is to convince every single local merchant in this country to come online from a transaction perspective. They have already done that from a content perspective, but of course it's a big game to play. That's where design comes in. So as I mentioned right in the beginning, the design is not so much about how do you differentiate from the competition and so on. The design could be very subtle, and I'll give you a good example here. Quiz question: which is India's #1 searched restaurant 4 years in a row on Google? India's #1 searched restaurant 4 years in a row. Any guesses? Sorry? What do you say? No, it's not Farzi Cafe. It's not Farzi Cafe. Anyone else? Guesses? It's not McDonald's, it's not KFC, it's not Domino's, it's not Sagar, it's Barbecue Nation. By far. Like it's almost 2.5 times as high as the next guy that comes in. And Barbecue Nation, for the longest time, I'm going to take 1 more minute on that, they for the longest time didn't want to work with Groupon. Because guess what? They're always full. So they don't need us. And we were like, hey, but give us a deal and discount. And they were like, no, we don't want you, right? So you got to understand. When we became Nearbuy, we completely changed our way of how we were treating them. We were like, look, you've got to come online because guess what? You don't know this, we didn't know this until now. You are India's #1 search restaurant on Google 4 years in a row. People cannot be just searching for you to find your contact address and so on. They generally need to do something beyond that. Why don't you come and list your services online? They did that, and they didn't give any discount. Well, they gave about a 30 rupee discount, I don't know why, almost mocking us. But what we did from a design perspective was the following. Every merchant that we had the MRP / the price at which we were selling. For barbecue, we just had the price. There was no slash. And we said, let's see what happens. So the consumers don't really know what the MRP is, they're just buying that veg or non-veg buffet at whatever time. It was crazy. To the extent that we started in the weakest market in Chennai, selling 160 covers a day when they were doing no more than 20 covers a day. And they called us and they were like, what did you do? And we were like, we don't know. Because we generally hadn't done anything except for this one change. We found out, once we spoke to the customers, they were like, it's absolute pricing, all taxes included, so I know that. It's a brand I want to go to, and it's convenient. So I don't have to think about paying someone else, no tipping, nothing whatsoever, walk in with a voucher, eat, walk out. Subtle change, but now we've become the almost de facto way of working with any brand that kind of cares about not showing a slash MRP, but still wants to sell online. Subtle change makes a huge difference.
Thank you to the panel for a very nice presentation. My question is for Viraj here. You defined high strength engineering as an amalgamation of many disciplines.
Yeah.
I sense that there is a significant opportunity for India in this very definition. And I'll build on my case and perhaps you could help me with it. First of all, that we have got an excellent opportunity on manufacturing. The West is deciding more on advanced manufacturing, where if you've taken a conventional concept and have tried to apply modern techniques. So my first question was, in a global economy, was it possible to have this high strength engineering in any other economy, say in the US or Europe? And the second part is that how could research tools enable your objective of high strength engineering? Because we have got all the technology which is available, we have got the best computational power, we can image grain boundaries, we can analyze the effect of nanotechnology onto the strength of a material. So where do you envision going forward?
So there's two questions. One is high strength applicable in other economies? And the answer is definitely yes. In fact, it's something we're doing for the world's outer space expansion as well, because that's where you will need a lot of high strength. So it's really geography agnostic as well. And in fact, you should be able to, like wherever there are mechanical components, you're going to need high strength. But your point is very valid that India has a significant competitive advantage to become the high strength center of the world, high strength innovation center of the world, because of our manufacturing legacy and our sort of mechanical engineering talent that we have, and a lot of our research institutions. In fact, we do our own in-house R&D, and we filed our 5th patent last month, and we're going to be filing a lot of patents. That's also one of our business models, where we license patents in high-strength innovation to OEMs and work on a collaborative model of developing with them. At the same time, we've developed an ecosystem of vendors who manufacture various prototypes, and an ecosystem of sort of knowledge partners at an early stage of research, like a TRL level 1 to 3 of research. We partner with IIT in Mumbai, and we're in talks with a number of institutions in Pune, which are national institutions of science.
Thank you. We'll take one last question and then we round up the session.
I'm so sorry, we are out of time. I'm so sorry, you have to end it here. So I'm really sorry, but I hope that we will catch you out there for during lunch and everything. Can we have a big round of applause for this wonderful session? And we have the gifts. So I would request the chair if you could give them a token of thanks.
I'd like to thank my young panelists, all supporters in their own right.
And request Dr. Jussel to honor the chair as well. Yeah. Thank you. Can we have a big round of applause for this wonderful session around design? Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks. So, okay. So I request everyone to stay back. We have a next session with the Ambassador of Israel to India. Now, interestingly, USB flash drive, the first Intel PC processor, and Google's suggest function, these three have got one thing in common. The first USB flash drive, the first Intel PC processor, and Google's suggest function. The thing common between the three of them is that all three were invented in Israel. Israel is a very small country. It's smaller than even the size of the state of New Jersey in the United States. But Israel punches above its weight when it comes to the startup ecosystem. Many amazing companies, and I believe there are too many tech startups in this hall. And I request those who are sitting there, please come and join us in the front. I request people sitting in those rows to please join us in the front, please. A humble request. Thank you. So Israel, I was telling, punches above its weight. A lot of tech startups. Can you give me some names of startups which have come from Israel? Famous startups? Code Monkey. Okay. Any other? Viber, and so many startups have come from Israel. So that's why we thought, why not have a session on building a startup nation? And we thought, who better to talk about it than the ambassador of Israel to India, Tanya. And the moderator we have with us today is the Finance Minister of Punjab, Mr. Manpreet Badal. Can you give a big round of applause for our next session of the day? Over to you, Manpreet.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my proud privilege to welcome on behalf of the Government of Punjab, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Israel to Punjab and to the land of five rivers. Excellency, both Punjab and Israel, we have one thing in common, that we share a very turbulent history. But history also teaches us that a nation is defined by the character and culture of its people, not by the geography or the topography or the regions within its boundaries. Punjab has had the privilege of guarding India's fine and ancient civilization for thousands of years. And in spite of having faced the fiercest challenges known to mankind, because when I read history, thousands and thousands of nations and cities have disappeared from history and they lie forgotten. But Punjab, the land of the five rivers, still persists. And over the centuries, we have sent our finest sons in the face of great danger to defend the dignity and freedom of this nation. And all we have ever asked in return is enough land to bury those sons who did not come back. And people of courage, also people of faith. We are people of faith, and I think together with courage and faith, it's been 70 years since India got independent. There is an embarrassment within us, within Punjab and within India, that this was not what the dreams were 70 years back. Those dreams have not been fulfilled. But as I was here yesterday and I spoke to the audience, that these are very exciting times to be an Indian. These are very exciting times to be a politician. Exciting because India, in the last 25 years, we have been on a growth trajectory of about between 7 to 9% for the last 25 years. And people like me have started dreams which my grandfathers or my father's generation could not dream. And the real enemies of India are not any nation, but the real enemies of India are actually poverty, lack of access to education, lack of housing, lack of access to sewage, and these are the enemies which we must give battle to. As a representative of the government of Punjab, I can assure you, Punjab and India will be progressed, willingly if possible, but kicking and screaming if required. So whatever it takes to propel India, and I hope that within my lifetime, we can see India as an emerging power and India as a member, an honorable member of the community of nations around the world.